Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Domina Sofia here at Domumsapientiae, the House of Wisdom. How are you? I hope all is well with you and you are enjoying the start of your weekend. I cannot believe we are almost 7 months into 2026. I have no idea where this year is going, but it has been passing quite rapidly. And for the most part, it's been pretty good thus far. So, may I ask first, have you taken the Paramour Archetype quiz yet? Have you taken it? If you have, let me know. Either email me or you can put it into the comments if you choose to. What is your archetype? Are you the Pharaoh? Did you come back as a queen with a consort? Are you the courtesan archetype? Maybe the wealthy wife. I would love to know. I kid you not. It is such an I love okay. If you've been with me long enough, either through the YouTube channel or inside the temple with me, because once again, most of the goddess daughters have met me inside Wealthy Wife, which once again, Wealthy Wife still exists, but she is now within a chamber within Domum Sapientiae. And Wealthy Wife is always a temple. Life fascinates me. Being a woman fascinates me. I sincerely can think of nothing better to be. I've shared before, I had gone to, oh my gosh, it was so many years ago. My youngest son was he was still a baby at the time, so it's been a couple of decades ago that I went and had a reading done by a psychic. And and I've shared with this also. I do very, 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 very few readings just because I just don't. I know there are some great people out there, but it's not something I tend to do because I have my own pipeline to information. But periodically, I will be guided to have a reading done. And I remember where I was living. Across the street there was a shop, like a little shop, like, 2, 3 people could have a business there, and I remember I went to bed one night and there was an empty storefront. I wake up the next morning, there's a psychic set up there. I was like, "Okay," and something said, "Go see her." I was like, "Okay, okay." I guess I tend to follow, my guidance. I'm not 100% on it, but I am way better than I used to be. And trust me, it's usually very, very smart to follow your intuition and your guidance because those higher energies, your higher self sees things that our physical body, living inside of 3D or 4D or where the hell we are right now, just misses. It just does. So I remember I went over to see her. She was a young lady, probably around my age at the time. So I say, what, 20 something, in her 20s. And we're sitting there, she's, doing her thing, looking at the palm, reading energy. And she says, she goes, huh. And I've shared before, anytime someone looks at me and says, hmm, this is different, or I've never seen this before, I'm thinking, oh God, now what? And she says, she's looking through past lives, and she goes, you've never been a man based upon what I'm seeing. She goes, I've never seen that before. And I've never heard of it before because her grandmother, she comes from a whole lineage of women who, have this ability. She goes, my mother's never mentioned it. My grandmother's never mentioned it. And she goes, I've been doing this for years. She goes, I've never seen this before. I was like, well, that's good. I go, but I'm not surprised. She goes, really? I go, no. I go, as much as I love men, because we know I do love men. I think men are amazing. I go, I have no reason to be one. I go, no, I'm good. I love being a woman. Think about this. As I've been sharing with you guys repeatedly, I am the blueprint. I have the capacity to literally create, build life. I've done it 3 times, so I know how to do it. And in addition to all this, when I'm not creating new life, all that energy is used for something else. And it is my responsibility, and I've been once again sharing with all of you, is to tap into what it means to live in this energy. And yes, it is a process because you have to unlearn certain things to finally allow yourself to be present with who you are. So I've said it many times, I'm gonna say it many times again. I love being a woman and I love sharing information with all of you excuse me, to encourage you. Because I don't allow anything. I encourage, I put things in front of you to, reawaken, to reunite, however you want to put it, rediscover who you are. So, once again, the four archetypes that I selected for Wealthy Wife and Domum Sapientiae are the Pharaoh, the Queen, the Consort, the Courtesan, and the Wealthy Wife. These are four very specific energies, they're very specific frequencies that we as women, when we learn how to stand in our truth, embody. And this is more than the siren, the sage, and all this stuff. I know all about all those as well, and they are very good as well. Once again, it's about learning how to identify self. But any energy that I work with in reference to women or I receive in reference to us is powerful, unapologetically so. So as I'm sitting here looking at the notes, because as I mentioned, there is a masterclass that I'm doing. So one day it's live, one day only on Sunday, I can't believe it's July 5th. And there's a link, you can go check it out. Having you, hang on a second. When I'm looking through the notes, because right now I'm looking through my notes for the masterclass on the 5th, and I love the descriptions because I'm talking, like I say, the Queen of the Consort. The Queen of the Consort reigns as a sole sovereign within her feminine domain, loves from that sovereignty completely. She is warm, gracious, and deeply devoted. She holds her crown with both hands at all times. The right man in her life arrives as a consort, devoted, proud to serve her vision. I'm going to say that again. He is proud to serve her vision and be fulfilled by the privilege of her presence. Meaning she's allowing him, she has invited him into her space, her visions, her dreams, her purpose as as someone who's going to be pouring into her, assisting her, and putting his energy into alignment with hers. He's her protector. He can definitely be a provider. And provision is more than just money, just so you know. Provision comes in many ways. But he's the one who stands by her side. He has her back. He protects. He is her front. He's the one that people have to go through before they get to her. Because if a man has gotten that close to a queen, I mean for real, understands, honors what she is doing in her whys, and when you're in that energy, because remember, every archetype I'm discussing with you, they have wonderful discretion and discernment. No man just comes in, is a part of, and or woman for that matter, is going to be in their circle within their energy who there's been no vetting process. There's always going to be a vetting process. And that vetting process takes time because when you're in your own power, there's no rush. You allow people, places, and things to reveal themselves to you and then plan and move accordingly. So he's been vetted, obviously. She inspires the highest expression of masculine devotion precisely because she requires nothing from it to feel complete. I'm going to read that again, too. She inspires the highest expression of masculine devotion precisely because she requires nothing from it to feel complete. Now, when I say she requires nothing from it, now this has nothing to do with them not providing, provision, opportunities, their work, their effort, etc. Her completion comes from know thyself. She knows who she is. She makes no apologies for who she is. She has studied, she has learned, she has evolved. She's doing the work. Remember, we work from the inside out. There's no outside in reference to how we are being here inside the temple. There's no seeking and searching for outside validation. Why? Appreciation is a wonderful thing. Absolutely. We all enjoy being appreciated and admired. But That's done because of our ability to be so thoroughly self that whatever we're offering to the world adds value to other people's lives. And then people, show appreciation and, do whatever they want to do in reference to it. But we're never over here doing things hoping to gain someone's attention, hoping to be okay and be seen as important based upon someone else's opinion. We don't care. Why should we? We are a whole divine being living inside this flesh, so to speak. So, Queen the Consort, and she's pretty awesome. And when I speak of Queen, and I said before, any archetype that I deal with, the woman is the lead because we are the natural leaders of everything because we are the ones who, once again, produce, create, birth, raise people. Yeah. We're kind of like the first place that everyone begins. And even if, you may not have, because, moms come in all shapes and sizes. Some are great, some are terrible, and there's everybody in between. But regardless of our origin story, we still came through our mothers. She's still the one who left the first imprint on who we are, our mindset. Because remember, you spent anywhere from 7 to 9 months inside of her, so to speak. Because yes, I understand some folks arrived earlier than expected, but she's your first heartbeat that you hear. She's our first heartbeat that we hear. She's the first voice that we hear. Her breath is our breath. Her blood is our blood when we are inside of our mothers. Everything that runs through her runs through us. This is why I say it's so important for women to be in a great state of mind when they're pregnant. I learned this through 3 pregnancies. A mother's state of mind does influence the baby. And I'm once again happy to see this transition back to honoring women and honoring pregnancy, honoring mothers. Because I'll say this again, whether you choose to have children or not, we all came from a mom. And learning how to honor that space. And I'm also happy to see that we are returning to community. Because see, that's what matriarch is. It's community. It goes deeper than that, but that's just kind of like the 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 essence of it is community. We raised our children in community. We were able to be present with each other and build each other up positively, help each other, assist each other, learn from each other in community. Men were part of our communities that understood how to honor, appreciate, adore, cherish, and look after us as well. It was community. Study history before patriarchy happened. Men thrived in those communities as well. Children thrived, the elders thrived, women thrived because we were a collective and we understood how to appreciate each other's skill sets, wisdom. We were able to fill the gaps in the spaces where I may be great at something and not so great at, I may be great at this and not so great at that, but somebody else is great at that and not so great at this. So as women, leadership has always been our responsibility, has always been our thing. So every woman that I'm discussing with you, because as you learn, once again, so if you join me for, oops, I forgot to turn on my speaker. When you join me for the master class, we will discuss a handful of women that are examples of the archetypes. Plus, if you took the quiz, as I said before, your answers will include anywhere, I think it's like two to four women who actually are representatives of the archetype that you may be it one or two. You're going to have examples of women, historical or present day women who embody that particular energy. Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. I think yesterday I mentioned Martha Stewart. Where when she first came into our lives, building out her, building out Martha Stewart, she was Pharaoh energy 100%. But now, as she has had a chance to kick back, relax, be in her flow, et cetera, she is definitely courtesan energy now. There's a playfulness to her. She's absolutely flippin' brilliant. She has always she had a learning curve when it came to the masculine because her issues when reference to going to prison were courtesy of men. She came out a whole new person and with a better and deeper understanding and then understanding of how to deal with men after this. And she came out better. And see, that's also the truth behind the energy of a muse is life always will have its ups and downs. It's called life. It's called part of evolution. But we always rise. That phoenix rising, yeah, absolutely. 100%. And as you learn the stories of some of these women who I admire, and I'm laughing because I have a list. I kid you not, I've got at least another 15 to add to the 51. I'm sure there'll be more because there's so many more I could add, but at least 15 I want to add to the current lineage that is being, taught inside of the temple. And I also thought about who was another that came to mind. It was Martha Stewart. There was somebody else that popped in and popped out of my head. Oh, Diahann Carroll, because she's one. She's also feral. Diahann Carroll is also feral energy. But I was laughing because I just saw something on Instagram in reference to her and Sidney Poitier. Oh my gosh. Ladies, Caribbean men, I must say this out loud because I live down in South Florida. They're some of they're a whole nother personality. They really are. Very charming men. Matter of fact, I have two of my dearest friends I call my sisters I met while I was in South Florida. And they are Jamaican, and I think the other one was Jamaican and Bohemian, Americans. And I was laughing because I remember both of them said, I am not allowed to date Jamaican men. Now I'm new to the whole process. I was like, why? Then they explained it to me, and then I had a chance to meet some of them. And not just Jamaican men. I mean, I met other men from other, islands. Very, very charming and can be very attractive because they carry masculine energy. I mean, seriously, super intelligent. Matter of fact, some of my closest friends are Jamaican men that I met down there. So I was laughing, not at Diahann Carroll, but I got it because they were saying how Sydney, oh my God, Sydney, ugh, Portier just played her. Oh my God, he played her. Just played in her face for like 7 years. It's kind of like every time they did a movie together, because I'll say it again, he was an attractive man. He was very um, intelligent. He has this, carried himself as an absolute gentleman, and he was play on to the nth degree. And I'm sharing this with you because there's going to be kryptonite that happens in your life at least once. I have a kryptonite. I had one. One. Matter of fact, his nickname is Kryptonite. It happens. But the goal is to understand that he is a life lesson. He is probably somebody that you dealt with in previous lifetimes, because I do believe in reincarnation. Once again, energy, once it happens, you don't destroy the energy. It has to do something. It's not going to just go someplace and sit in a holding pattern and wait. It recycles. And plus, remember, we're living life, literally beside us, we're living different timelines. This is very, very interesting energies that we live in. So when I heard about that, was listening to this, it was like every time they did a movie together, she fall back in love with him. He talk shit, talk about, oh, I love you, and I'm gonna leave my wife, and we need to run off and get married. And she was married, he was married. She would get divorced, he wouldn't. She fell for that 3 or 4 times. I don't know when she finally figured out to stop, but the woman who was sharing this information said it was about 7 times. See, that's where that hopefulness in women gets us in trouble. Well, he'll change. No, they won't. Darling, if they do it one time, they're gonna do it again. 'Cause they got away with it the first time. Yeah. If they do it once, they're going to do it again. So I share this with you because was brilliant. This Diahann Carroll is one of my favorite, and so many of you also appreciate what a badass Diahann Carroll was. Because when you read her biography, which once again she's included in the book I'm working on, I mean, she was like, damn, she is history, especially in the industry of entertainment. She did things because she held her ground in Hollywood. When Hollywood was only looking to give acting roles to melanated women that were usually some type of demeaning character or just some low-run character. For the most part, they weren't allowed to be leads in movies unless they were all, melanated movies. Anytime that was involving European descent in us, we were not generally given, roles to work beside them that would have been equals. These are facts. You watch old movies, you see it in old movies. And she came into it and said, no, I'm not doing that. She goes, if you're going to have me in movies doing things, you're going to present me with things that are actually going to show, dignity and show us as, you know, amazing people. Matter of fact, one of her, what was it? She was the first, I think she was the first melanated woman to have a series on TV. What was it called? Julia, where she was portrayed as a nurse, a widow. She was a widow. I believe her husband, I got to get this right. I believe her husband had been in the military, had passed away, and she was a widowed mother raising a son, and she was a nurse. And that series was the first time on television that they portrayed a melanated woman as a suburbanite, successful, thriving woman who was going through grieving, obviously grieving, the passing of her husband, raising a child on her own, living in suburbia with a really good job. She wasn't the maid. She wasn't the help. She was the groundbreaker. Think about Dynasty. And we all loved. Some of you were too young for Dynasty when it first came out, but you're watching it now. So I don't know anything what took place with the new version of it, but I remember the original one. And Dominique Devereaux. Ooh, lovely. Lovely. She was the one who told them that they were going to create that role for her. They wanted to bring her on, once again in a lesser role, and she says, no, if I'm going to be on this show, I must have the same status, the same type of, spicy, strong, just, character as the rest. As Joan, what is it? Was it Joan Collins? Linda, what was Linda's last? Linda, I think Linda Evans. And whatever other characters, I think those are two main characters she was up against. Joan Collins and Linda Evans. She's like, if you bring me on, she goes, I got to be just as powerful as them. And she told them about the character, and they created the character based upon her requirements. And on top of this, she also was a stage actress. She was in theater. She did TV. She was, like I said, a movie star. She was phenomenal. And she still had messed up relationships with men because once again, and this is what I've learned from all the work that I've done over the years, is really successful women lose their minds when it comes to men. Now, I'm going to come from my community as a melanated woman because when you're a really successful melanated woman, you're usually expected to stand down in your relationships because God forbid, you should make a man feel less of a man because you make more money than he makes, or you're more successful than he is. They give all kind of dumb reasons. And you hear men crying about that stuff now, but most men really, truly, you're going to learn this too. We're going to talk about it in the master class. A man who really, really understands who he is and, excuse me, has strong character, self-confidence, he isn't worrying about what you do or don't do for a living. If you make more money than him and he loves you and cares about you, he's fine. There are other ways that you guys are going to be beneficial to each other as a couple. It's going to have nothing to do with your paycheck, your salary, your business savvy. But so many times, I'm saying again from my community, women will sacrifice themselves just so they could have the man, any man, and usually as a trashy ass man. I still see it happening. There are women that I see online now, and I'm looking at, relationships that are melanated with men, and I'm going, oh, because she settled for whatever reasons. And the problem is when they settle, oh, when it's time to get out of the relationship, it's always a nightmare for the woman because she has more money. And if she didn't do a proper prenup before she married the man, she's screwed. Halle Berry is a perfect example of this. She wasn't, what was her, which was her daughter's father? One of her children's fathers was just, I think it was her daughter's because I believe was he the model? Whatever, it was one of her husbands. Just took her to the cleaners because she settled. Trying to make herself smaller, trying to make herself less to satisfy a man's flippin' ego. We're not interested in satisfying men with low self-esteem. They can go bounce off of go walk the plank, okay? Seriously. So anyway, in the masterclass, we'll be discussing a few more women. And I'm going to go over some details in reference to the social environments of, I'm just using the Queen of the Court as a queen with a consort because you guys really hear me discuss her. It talks about some of the places she goes and what she does and where she thrives and shines in reference to her energy. What makes her so amazing. I love this lifestyle expressions. She dresses in a way that signals warmth and authority simultaneously. Silk, cashmere, structured gowns. Her jewels are meaningful. They can be heirlooms, gifts from devoted men, pieces with provenance. Travel as an experience of devotion. Hang on one second. Destinations chosen for their romance and cultural depth. And this is very true. The queen energy is definitely very global. Has that trying to find it's very cultured. I'm trying to find the word, but I just use the word culture, very cultured. So, her thing may be Paris, Marrakesh. She goes places that have history, that are beautiful, that have an air of um, power, prestige, history. Her home is curated for intimacy. It has fresh flowers, candles, a table always set as though someone worth impressing her. Because, she's not looking to impress anyone because she's phenomenal. Somebody worth inviting into her home might arrive at any moment. Because in her world, they just might. But anyway, so there's other things we're going to cover in here in reference to, what is it? Yeah, where's my table of contents? Oh, yes, we talk about the feminine nature and masculine devotion. That's a good section, by the way. Because once again, it discusses how you actually interact with men, how they're showing up in your world, what you're going to invite into your world. And my thing is always working from the space of what we're going to invite as opposed to, I'm more into the yeses as opposed to the nots. Matter of fact, I laugh right now because anytime I do any kind of work inside of an AI and they write stuff for me, the word not is literally forbidden. I mean, literally forbidden. We know this by now. I'm very intentional with words because words carry frequency. So anyway, it's gonna be a fun class. It's gonna be a fun class. It really is. So once again, have you taken the quiz yet? I would love to know what archetype you match. What is your frequency? And for those who are joining me on Sunday, once again, this is going to be the 5th. This is July 5th. Those who join me, and you can hit the description. It's the links in the description. And I'm going to ask you to share with me before we have the master class. I want you guys to share with me what your archetype is. So, as we're having our discussion during the master class, I want to see if there's a prevalence of one or two particular archetypes. I know there are, like I said, within the Oracle's Keep, most definitely. I have a ton of pharaohs in there, pharaohs and courtesans. As with a couple queen with consorts, I think I got one or two wealthy wife archetypes in there as well, but tons of pair of pharaohs and courtesans. And I'm loving the pharaoh because that's the sovereign woman, as in, remember, the pharaoh represents divinity walking the planet. So the pharaoh moves an energy that is galactic, cosmic. So I love seeing that the goddess daughters are literally claiming that energy for themselves now. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Click the link below. Let's have a conversation. Let's do some real girl time, okay? Woman time. I'm not girls. I'm not a girl. I'm definitely a woman, 1000%. So let's do some woman bonding and connecting and some community on Sunday. Click the link. Get yourself signed up. Let me know, because you can email me. Matter of fact, what I'll do is when you sign up, I will most likely send out an email asking you what your archetype is. Because I really do. Really do want to see what the prominent archetype is going to wind up being, because one will rise to the top. So I'm curious to see. So anyway, have an awesome day, and I look forward to talking to you soon and seeing some of you on the 5th. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.